Hi, everyone. We are live. This is Shayla with Resplendence Language Arts, or RLA, as you can see, my name. Today, we have an awesome, amazing show for you guys. Super excited. It's called The Woman King Unmasked. So, we'll be unmasking things that are factual based and things that's not so factual based regarding the movie. Today, that we have on the panel is Brother Gerard, who is also our instructor with RLA, who is a direct descendant of that empire. And we also have African historian Mr. Lynford Sweeney, who is joining the live today. Mr. Sweeney, would you like to go first and introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. My name is Lynford Sweeney. I'm based in the UK, and I'm originally from Jamaica, but I've been in the UK the vast majority of my life. I'm currently for about the last 15 years, I've been teaching Black history, African history, and getting in researching, doing a lot of research to find out more and more about my ancestry. And so I'm also a genealogist, a Caribbean genealogist. So I've been doing quite a lot of work actually finding out about my ancestry. And I have found out that actually I do have ancestry from Benin also. But that's going way back. Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Ghana, to be exact. And in the Caribbean, we are mixed. We are quite a mixed bag. So I've been teaching this for quite a while, and I do talks with the health service, local authorities, churches, you name it, in Britain. So that's basically, and I've seen the film. Yes.
Me too. I like the obviously the film so much. I wanted to have this conversation. It's a pivotal moment for us to have this type of conversation.
Yeah.
Brother Gerard, your turn. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, as you said, here is Gerard AGBAYANOU. I am from Benin Republic and working with RLA for a while now. I teach French and Fongbe, Fongbe, which is the most spoken language in Benin Republic. And Benin Republic, but the real name is Dahomey. Uh, Dahomey is the real name. We became Benin Republic just in 1975 under the rule of late President Kerekou, Mache Kerekou. So I offer tours to everybody, but more especially to Afro descendants who looking to reconnect to the root. So I guide them not only to touristic sites, but also spiritual connection, voodoo spirituality. I do even have a YouTube channel known as Path to the Roots, where I share videos. I interview the elders, authentic priests, who talked about the culture, the history, the spirituality, the way it is, not the way it is shown on social media.
Yeah.
So that's it. And also, I have a group of Pan Africanists, and we always meet every Saturday. Even today, we had a meeting, and we gather the youth of my community and talk about Africa, because when you consider our school curriculum, we do not have any space for our own identity or our own culture. Is like, you a teacher of history, but in fact, what you learned at school was Chinese history, how America became the first economic power in the world. So it's important for us to teach our own culture, our own identity, so that the youth grow differently. That's what I've been doing for some years now. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to just really start this broadcast on the right way. So thank you both for introducing yourself. Of course, I'm Shayla Guides. I'm the founder of Resplendence Language Arts. And my goal is really to do what we talked about, what Gerard literally just said, is to have our own voice and to make sure that we're shining light on our stories, our culture, our spirituality, and do not have others tell it for us. It's time for us to tell our own stories, right? So that's why we're here today. And that story that we're going to talk about is the Woman King. As you heard, Mr. Sweeney and myself, we've seen it, not together, but we've seen it separately.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much. I thought it was a great opportunity to see us. It was one of the few movies that you see us battling against slavery, right? And it felt like very empowered. I think Viola Davis, who is the star role, she did amazing in the film, and we're going to talk all about her. Because what they kind of talked about in the movie was that she had a twin brother, but they didn't really go deep with it, right? And the movie actually starts before she became the Woman King. It's a spoiler alert, so turn down your actually put us on mute for 1 second. All right. When I do like this, a thumbs up, you can come back. But at the end, here we go. Here's the spoiler alert. At the end, when they defeat everyone, essentially, she becomes Woman King, right? So here's a thumbs up. You can come back now if you didn't see the movie. Uh, I also thought that John Boyega, I love him, by the way. I thought he did amazing, and I wish some of them could have joined us in this live today, even though we're small. But he did so great, so great. He just gave me the charm of the king. He gave me like the essence, the royalty feeling of the king. I just really loved how he played that part. I just loved it, and also a lot of the supporting cast were great as well. So I don't want to tell it all, but essentially, Gerard, let's talk about the history. Let's talk about how did she become the Woman King, right? And then of course in the movie it was kind of a little interesting because they were not speaking Fon. So we want to talk about that as well. But so I'll let you start. And of course, this is a panel, of course. So Mr. Sweeney can always jump in and ask, questions because you're a little bit you're way smarter than me, Mr. Sweeney. This is your background is African and Black history. So I'll jump in when I need to. But yes, Gerard, we're gonna let
Yeah.
you start it off.
Yeah, first of all, I have to thank you for this opportunity that you offer me to talk about my history. Yeah, because I'm African. Yeah, it is African history. I am Beninese from Dahomey, and it is a Dahomey history. And I am living today in Ouida City because of a woman king, because it is under the rule of a woman king known as Agojie that my great grandparents came to Ouida in the 80s, you see. So, first, it is important to know who was the woman king. Her name was Tassi Hangwe. And when we say Tassi in Fongbe, it means aunt. It is used to refer to the sister of your father. Uh,
Gerard, could you type that in, like, see where it says post a comment, just so our
that,
viewers can do research? Because this is you're going to be dropping a lot of jewels, and we want to make sure we're putting it in our knapsack and picking them up.
I just put Tassi Hangwe there,
Okay,
and
great.
it is the name of the woman who created the movement of women warrior, and she was the woman king. And I'm trying to give the meaning of the name. Name imports a lot in Africa, in our culture. And when we say Tasi, it refers to the sister, all the female siblings of
Mhm.
your father, of your dad,
Okay.
and also the sisters or all the female siblings of your husband if you are a man, because of the children. So, Hangbe means the voice of song, which means that Tasi Hangbe was a sister of the king, more precisely King Wesu Akaba,
Mhm.
and she has a very nice voice for singing in the palace. And when there's any royal ceremony that requires drum beat, song singing, she was there. She has that gift. That's why we call her Tasi Hangbe, which means the aunt that has a nice voice for songs. Do you understand? So that is what Tasi
Yeah.
Hangbe means. Now, who is Tasi Hangbe? I was saying that she was a twin sister of King Wesu Akaba. Wesu Akaba ruled from 1685 to 1708. And I want to talk about being a twin in Benin Republic. More precise, yeah, in all the tribe in Benin Republic, in Dahomey, when you are born a twin, you go through some specific ritual. You are treated differently, not negatively, but positively. Because being born a twin is like a gift from God, and there's a spiritual reality behind this. Why am I talking about the twin? When you are a twin, for example, as a woman in Benin, and you are the bride for someone, when the groom wants to pay the dowry, he has to pay not only to his bride, but also to the twin sister of the bride. Anything that the twin sister receives, the second twin also has to receive it. So, when we take Tasi Hangbe, who was the twin sister of King Akaba, this means that during the coronation ceremonies of King Akaba, she received exactly the same ritual that King Akaba received, because she is the twin sister of the king. So there's nothing to you do to one twin and leave the other. That is how it is in Benin up to now. It has not changed. So she was naturally a queen, but not on a throne, because symbolically speaking, she had received the rituals, the initiation, the coronation ceremony, everything, all respect that the king Akaba deserved. She also deserved that and was served properly. That's one thing I wanted to shed light on.
And what
Now,
could you put the twin brother's name in the chat too for us? Because again,
okay,
we're dropping a lot of jewels. We like to research.
yeah, King
And the correct
Akaba's full
name,
name was Wesu.
okay, and the correct spelling of her name too, as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Akaba.
Thank you.
Wesu Akaba was the king. Uh, the twin brother of Tassi Hangwe. So, talking about the rule, the period, it was from 1685 to 1708. Now, what happened? We had another tribe, that is women, the Womenu. It is Port Novo, known as Port Novo today. And there was a war, an insurrection that time. And is in the past, the king themselves, they go in front line when there's war. They do not stay in palace to be commanding like today. They go to
What
wage
was
war
what
in
was
front
it? What was the name of the war? Sorry, I'm so interested. That's why I need to know. Like, things.
Yeah, in
What was the name?
fact, it was, let me put it, it was
Thank you.
at women.
Okay.
It
Listen,
has
guys, if I'm interrupting, I think this is really just good information that I don't think you can even find half of it on Wikipedia. So I just want to make sure.
women, and more precisely, at Lisaison. Lisaison.
Thank
So that was the place, and there was the war there, and the army of Dahomey were not doing good at all. They were kind of defeated, you know, and the warriors came back to the palace to inform King Akaba, who will say, "Okay, let me go," and Akaba will follow his troop, and they will go to wage war against the Womenu, but unfortunately, he will be wounded. There are things we do not tell people, in Benin, more precisely, the Fon tribe, the word defeat is not in our vocabulary. The Fon people do not like that. So, because if I'm telling you that, when you came and you searching on Akaba's death, the defeat, how Tassi Hangbe will become the queen, people will not tell you that he was defeated by the women. They will tell you that he died from a short illness. You understand? Something like that. Okay, but the truth is always more important, especially for our family in the diaspora. So he was defeated, he was wounded, and came back with his people. Then his twin sister, Tassi Hangwe, will say, "This will never happen to me. The people who defeat my brother, who wounded him, who killed him somehow, I have to go there and destroy the army and bring captives, including the chief of that land." She will then disguise herself into her twin brother, the king Akaba. They look alike, and you could not, though the other one was a female and it is a male female, the different sex, they look alike. So when the body fits well, so she will disguise herself as her brother. Then she will wear for the first time what we call chanka. Chanka is the dress, we could call it trousers today. It was not perfect trousers, but it was a quarter something. You understand the fit? She will get dressed like a man. So people didn't know that the king died because he was wounded. Since she realized that he could not survive, he could not go back, then she will disguise herself into her brother and say, "Okay, I will go to the women, to Lisezume, and defeat the people over there." Then she will go not with the women army. Women were not at war that time. We didn't have the women troop at that time. Only men were going to the war. But she was seen like a man, and they would go. And truly, she will happen to defeat the army, and they will come with many captives. But she will order the troop, her army, not to kill the captives because she's interested into the chief of the women, that she likes her physique, that she wants him to be in her palace. Now they will come back, and truly, you know, we have what we call slavery, war captives before the Europeans. They were not sold, but they were war captives and will serve the new kingdom, do farming, everything, but they were not treated like animals. They will be given shelter, house, and even will marry. So there's a lot of things we'll talk about shortly. But what I'm trying to say is that she will come back and now will will stay in the same dress, and people will not know what's happening. Because if the women who know that the king died, things will be different. And Dahomey might stop existing. So they were playing the trick. Now she will form a group of women. That is how she will form the women,
So
the
that's
woman
how it
king.
started. Okay, I get it now. I was like, well, how? And another thing, and again, people, if you haven't seen the movie, please, I'm gonna thumbs up when I stop giving you like some spoiler alerts. But I have a question for you, Gerard. Um, so in the movie, she has. So now we're at the point where she's creating the all female warriors, right? So at that point, it was told in the movie. Again, guys, I'm spoiler alert. So go away for like 5 minutes and I'll thumbs up when I'm done with the spoiler alert. It was told in the movie that she was uh, uh, captive from an opposing force, and during that time, she was unfortunately raped, and she got pregnant, and she had a kid because of this, right? So I'm just, I'm sure this wasn't totally right, but I wanted to hear: did she ever? Was she ever a captive? Did she have children? Like that's what I want to hear, and then I want to hear, of course, about the actual forming of the group and how did she work with them. But that part was definitely like how the movie The Woman King even moved, was because she has a kid, right? So okay, everybody, kind of, it's like a spoiler alert, but not. It's kind of the blood of the
Yeah,
movie we're mentioning right now. So
yeah.
about that part.
Though everybody didn't know that the king passed, every palace they have people who keep secret, who are very close, who are the leaders. I mean, the staff. They knew what was going on, but there were some doubts. Like the father of King Akaba, of the woman king Tasi Hungwe. Even before we go there, let me tell you why we have the name Agojie for the troop of the Amazon. I mean, the women warrior. The name Agojie is Fongbe. It means get out of my way. That is the name. And it is a word that we use. Ago is a word that is powerful in spirituality. For example, you entering a temple, you have to say ago ago. Why? You want the spirit not to mess up with your life. I'm coming, please get out of my way. I'm a human entering the sacred place. Now, When you are in a crowd and you want to say, oh, you get out of my way, I want to move, you say Ago. So Agojie, the name is get out of my way, otherwise I will destroy you. So when she realized that the brother was wounded and could not survive, she said, hey, Agojie, which means trouble has come on my way. Okay, guys, get out of my way, otherwise you will have problem with me. So that is why the Agojie, how the name was given to the army. Coming back to your question, she truly had one child, and his name is Nyasunu. One child. The name of the child is Nyasunu. That you can see. There's still, let me write it. Nya.
And it was a male, not a female, right?
Male.
Mm-hmm. See, in the movie, it was a female. It's okay. Got it.
No. and it was not question of rape at all, because she got pregnant in the palace, and she already said while he caught the captives, the chief of the women, we know who is the father. It is the chief of the women. And she was told that she's attracted by the feature, the physique of that chief, that nobody is allowed to kill the captives because of the chief. So they will come back to Abome with the captives and with the chief. You see? And
so she had a baby by the chief that was a captive.
Exactly.
Oh, what tribe was this from? What was the opposing tribe that was captive?
Yeah, in fact, we were not so different, because that will bring us back in the history. But the Fon tribe, we came from Ghana. We are from Ashanti people. And we call at Ajatado. And there was a wrong judgment against the Fon people. And then Ajahuto will kill the king of Aja and run away. And run away with his people. And they will come at Alada. It is Alada that Benin starts, the creation, the foundation of that our kingdom started.
Alada.
So once there.
Wait, how do you spell Alada? A-L Alada?
Yeah. In the chat you can
gotta write this stuff in private chat. You are dropping so many jewels right now. And I don't want to interrupt you because you're doing such a great job. But if you remember, just make sure you type these little, fun facts in it so we can share with the audience as well.
All right. So it is when they call it Alada, the group will separate themselves into three. One will stay at Alada, the other will go to women, to Port Novo, and the third group will go to Abome, which will become the most powerful and conquer all the others land. So there was some problems. We can't go there now. It will be too much. And they will start conquering land. That's how the women, they are not too different from us. All of us were from Ajatado. You understand? Yeah. It's like you speaking women. It is just like Fon. You understand? Yeah. So, what happened with the child? When she came, they were there. Some elders were not sharing, her opinion, because they say, it's true that she helped us win against the women. At the same time, we had the father's rule, because the father, the late, the father of Akaba and Tasi Hangbe, the former king, his name was Wigbaja, and he had a constitution for Dahomey, and we had 41 laws, and within those laws, it was said that the throne is from father to son, not from father to daughter. Now, people will start playing on that because they were afraid of one thing. They said that she is a woman. How can a man have intimate with our queen and is not from our tribe? This is an insult to our kingdom. This will not happen here. Some people were not agree at all with that part. And they said the second thing, if she gives birth to a child, automatically then the child will become the next king, which means that is another tribe ruling Dahomey. So some people say this will never happen. So people were reluctant to serve her. It's true that they recognized that she was a twin. So automatically, if she were a man, she was to be on the throne. Now, she's the one who saved the kingdom. Otherwise, Dahomey was finished. Now, so there were two sides. People say, okay, we have to acknowledge she's the king, she's the queen, she's the woman king. Others say, yeah, but other people are going to take our tribe. They will rule Dahomey, and it will not be the Fon people. So, when she gives birth to Nyasunu, the child, they will do all their best to assassinate the son. I mean, Nyasunu, the child. Because if she dies, Nyasunu will be the king. So they kill the baby. Now there were pressure that she should leave the power. And you know, she was a powerful woman, and even talking to her, you have to be careful. And it is because of those realities, people didn't want to serve under a woman, that she will form her own gods, who will be only women, and have warriors, purely women. And because men didn't want to go to war, serve under a woman. So there were those problems. That is how the army grew. Increased in number.
And this was she had the baby, and the baby was assassinated before the female warrior guard tribe started, right? Before that. So she had the baby with the chief, right? Had the baby with the captive chief. They assassinated the baby, and then after the assassination of the baby, the woman king at that point then created the all-female warrior.
No. Is as soon as she took the power, as soon as she became the queen, because automatically, people know that, okay, the king died and she's the queen. But okay, are we going to serve under a woman? Okay, are we going to let someone from another tribe to pregnant our queen? Okay, and the descendant, the offspring of that queen will be our king of tomorrow. This will not happen. People were reluctant, though some people acknowledge that she's the one who saved all the kingdom. So since she didn't have people to serve under her, she will form her own army, and there will be only women. You understand how it happened? But to go to defeat the women, there were no women. She was the only one who disguised herself into her brother to go. You got a point? Now, it is the same problem that continues till they kill the baby, saying that they don't want to see anyone from her that will take the power because she's a woman. But they will try to convince her by doing what? Because she had a younger brother. The younger brother is Dosu Agaja. The name Dosu when you have a twin, I mean, you have some children who are twin. The one who comes after the twins, if it is a boy, we call him Dosu. If it is a girl, we call her Dosi. Okay. The full name, Dosu Agaja, is the king that is the younger brother of Tasi Hangbe, the woman king. Okay? Now, they will now try to convince her and say, okay, we understand you are our queen. You are the one who saved the tribe. You powerful. You've installed a lot of changes in the, you implemented a lot of changes in the community and things are going well. But there's one thing. Do you remember your father? The constitution he made, the laws that he wrote? Remember that your father said that the kingdom, the throne, should always be from father to son and never from father to daughter. Then she will say, okay, I agree. I have to respect my father's will. Now, you have to promise me one thing. When I give the power to my younger brother, Dosu Agaja, you have to make sure that when he will leave, they have to give the power to the son of her twin brother who died, Akaba. You understand? Okay. So they said, yes, okay, that will happen. That is how they will give the power to Dosu Agaja, who will be a very powerful king as well. And Dosu Agaja didn't want to acknowledge her elder sister rule because it is said that it was not her throne. She just helped her twin brother to save the image of her twin brother. So the Swagaja's problem, in fact, is that he was not happy to lead, I mean, to be that it is not good for him that people say it is from a woman that he inherited the power. You got my point? So they were not mentioning the woman king anymore. She was like omitted from the list. Now, yeah, you asked a very important question. How did King Gezo tie into all of this? Yeah, King Gezo is the descendant now, okay, of how do you say, is the descendant of this the generation of this woman king. You understand? But he was not the woman's child. He was not the twin brother's child. You understand what I mean? So he was just a descendant of the same tribe.
So
now,
he wasn't even in around when the woman king was alive, is what you're saying. Are you saying that he wasn't around, like he was not even thought of at that point?
He was not there. He was not there. You know, he ruled from the woman king ruled from 1708 to 1711. But Gezo will rule from 1818 to 1858. So it's a long time, long space, 100 years at least.
Could you just repeat that date? 1708.
The woman 1708 to 1711. The woman king.
Okay.
3 years. She just ruled for 3 years.
Mhm.
And now they will convert her, and Dosu Agaja will become the king of Dahomey.
Mm.
Now, there's something important about the woman warrior. There were three divisions because people already realized through what she did, what Tasigangwe did, that women are so powerful and they could be used for different purposes during wars against enemies. Spiritually speaking, the culture knows 100 years before Tasigangwe that women are powerful and are treated equally. But administration, law, war, ruling, they didn't know that women could wage war like that. So she's the one who revealed that, who gave that image. And the Fon people will automatically learn the lesson. And what did they do? They will restructure the army. And they had three divisions. And the women warriors, people think, okay, they take captives, they become warriors, they take all, never. Only children. They were young female who are virgin, who have never had sex in their life. They are virgin. And they are selected from, in the Fon tribe from different collectivities, families. And that's how my family itself gave Agbesikpe. So when they take the young ladies like that, the young girls, they will train them like men. And the camp where they will work, no men had access except people related to the palace who are there to train them. And if ever it happened that they catch you violating, raping a girl from the woman army, they cut off your head. There's no debate. There's no debate. Your head is removed. So it was not women that they choose haphazardly. No, they consider the feature from young age, how smart the baby looks, stuff like that, and they will start training them like that. Now we had three divisions. Some were trained just for war. Others were like the bodyguards for the king. Whenever you see a Dahomey king, you will see plenty women around. And the most powerful, the third division, was the spies. That's what they will use to destroy Wida, to conquer Wida. What do they do with the spies? They are like merchants that they will send different corners. But they are very smart that when they get into an area, they already know the geography of the place. They will be studying the power of that kingdom, how the people move, the army, everything. But they will never show themselves as the spy from the kingdom. Now, what did the kings do? The Dahomey people do? Those who are spies, they are always beautiful. You have to be beautiful. And when they notice that a king is very powerful and the Dahomey army cannot defeat that kingdom, they will make friends with that kingdom and now promise to give their daughter to the kingdom, to the king, and the king will marry the daughter. That's how they took Wida, because there was a king in Wida, not really Wida, but Savi. It is 10 kilometers away from Wida, who controls all this land. And he had a horse tail that was so powerful. And when any army approached him, he just have to move the tail and you will fall. And they will kill you. So, since the Dahomey people know that they cannot defeat that army, they will make friend with the king of Savi, Aho, King Hufon. And now, when they negotiate, they will do their best so that finally they will marry their daughter, which in fact was a spy, was a woman warrior. And she will marry the king of Savi. And then she will learn the secret and know that, okay, this is the power of the king. So if we can steal this horsetail, then he's done. And that's how they will truly take with that. So there were three divisions: the spies, which and they are automatically as merchants or will marry king or people in the kingdom to learn other uh, kingdom secrets, so that they will be giving information to Dahomey. The other division is to wage war. They are ugly, they are giants. You know, beauty is not the problem, but how to defeat the enemy, to run over the enemy. And others are the bodyguards of the king. So that is how they will defeat the Ketu kingdom, the Oyo, without so many. Because, you know, one time Oyo was so powerful, even Ketu and Dahomey was under the rule. They have to be paying taxes regularly. But when they discover the power of the women king, and more precisely with King Adandoza, then they will go against the imposition of Oyo, Ketu, and will take all those lands. That's how.
Interestingly, that has something to do that to some extent is an element within the film. You know, the element within the film relates to getting away from paying taxes to Oyo. And that film took place in 1823, which is a long time after you've mentioned the woman king reigned. So it's almost like they've taken the woman king from over 100 years ago and placed that person in 1823 when they had two wars with Oyo, and Oyo lost both wars, and at the end of that they gained their freedom from Oyo, which is interesting what you're talking about, the fact that they've taken, you know, somebody who lived way back.
Exactly. Yeah. The Yoruba that time was so powerful. And yeah. So the woman army played a lot of role, a very important role in Dahomey Kingdom. And even today, you know, dating people from Abome, many tribes are still afraid. They're scared about, because they say, oh, those girls, they will betray you, they will do this, you know, but it is history, it's past, but people always keep memories, just like everywhere. Now, there's one thing I heard about the movie that I really want to make clear. In the movie, it seems like the kings of Dahomey were forced to stop the slave trade. It's like Europeans wanted the trade to stop, but the Dahomey king didn't want. Now, that's not the history.
No.
What exactly happened? I don't know if the person who gave me that version is right, but that's what someone who watched the movie said. Shayla, I don't know if you have that image in the movie.
So you're talking about you're saying that the Europeans wanted to stop the slave trade, but the Dahomey wanted to continue it.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Right. It's interesting about that. When we talk about the Europeans, we must be very particular, because only Britain Only Britain in 1823 wanted to stop
Absolutely.
the slave trade. All the other European nations wanted to continue it, especially the Portuguese. Yeah.
It's
So we definitely know that was the case. Um,
good.
the thing is, the trade in slavery, remember, they also were had to pay taxes to Oyo. Now, in order to pay taxes to Oyo, they also had to keep the slave trade
Yeah.
because they had to have taxes to be able to pay. So again, the king was in a difficult position. Do I stop the slave trade? There's even this talk about the fact that they wanted to substitute the slave trade for palm oil, but they were
Yeah.
saying that palm oil didn't fetch enough, to be able for the kingdom to continue. So there were all those issues. But the simple point is, I have a particular theory about the whole of this.
Good.
The
Thanks.
Africans had been trading with Europe since the 1400s, mid 1400s, when the Portuguese went into northwestern Africa and then later on into West Africa. And they were trading. The, Others came along, the Dutch came along, they were trading. The British came along, they were trading. Do you see what I'm saying? So there was a lot
Yeah.
of trade going on even before the slave trade became a major element in the 1600s. Yeah, that's when it really
Absolutely.
became
Yeah.
big, in the 1600s. So all I'm saying, take for instance, the British only got into the slave trade in 1562. Okay.
Good.
So
Yeah.
before that, there was trade with Africa. Before even slavery, the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, there were Africans trading with Europe for thousands of years. But they don't tell you that, do they? Yeah.
Exactly. That's the
So
point. And
what I'm saying is, when this whole thing about the slave trade, when sugar became very and cotton became, so important to the Europeans, they wanted more enslaved people. So they ensured that they brought guns to the different states and different kingdoms. And when you give guns to one kingdom, that kingdom becomes more powerful. And that kingdom wants to take over another kingdom. So they had to give guns to the other kingdom as well. So sooner or later, the same thing that happened in Europe in the 1400s, everybody was competing for power to see who were the most powerful. The same thing started to happen in Africa. Each state, each kingdom, empire was vying with one another to see who was more powerful, because if you're not powerful, you'll be taken by another state, another kingdom. And so they used that. They divided the various states and kingdoms so that they'd war against one another, and they'd take the people, enslaved people, and then they'd sell them to the ship. So it's like when people say Africans sold Africans into slavery. I keep on telling them, yeah, it's like saying Europeans sold Europeans into slavery. They're all different groups. There's Germany, there's France, there's the Netherlands, there's Spain, there's Portugal, etc. In Africa, it was the same thing. You know, you had the
thank you.
you had the Dahomey, you had Oyo, you had Ashanti, you had all those different. They're
Thank
different
you for
people, but they're
enlightening.
the same people. So when you say you sold your people into slavery, some did out of desperation, but the vast majority did it through wars, and they warred against other kingdoms, not against themselves.
Exactly. Thanks a lot for that enlightenment. And that's what I think we young men, especially living in the diaspora, it's true. It's painful when you learn that your parents were sold by their own people, I mean, people of the same color. But they have to understand that that is history of humanity. That has always been like that. And the term slavery in Africa, more precisely in the Fon tribe, we know Mexico and Cameroon. In fact, the war captives, what happened, just like you explained, when you happen to win the war against a tribe, what did our people used to do? They would do their best to mingle with that tribe, marry people from that tribe, and make the captives marry the people so that they become mixed and the kingdom will be enlarged. Will get more sides. This is first of all for their security, and also is for their wealth, because the captives, before you are given the right to marry, to have everything, you have to work in the farm of the king. And the people who were close to the king, how do you say, people who are a bit richer, they could take some of the captives, they buy the captives who will work in their farm. So it was more wealth to the kingdom, and also the kingdom becomes more powerful. So we always mess up whenever the Fon tribe, the Dahomey, win the war against a tribe. That's what happens. And when we're talking about the taxes that Dahomey had to pay to Oyo, they had to give men, women, plus food items.
Yep.
Now, what I wanted to shed light on was a king that people do not mention like that in Dahomey history. He is the one who really fought against slave trade. His name is Adandozan. Adandozan. Let me put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Adandozan, his name means anger. Uh, anger has, how do you say, has made his mat. I don't know how to say it in good English. Is he showed his anger about what is happening in his kingdom, because he was telling his people that he does not go with the idea that will sell our captives to the European to buy guns and items that will pay to other tribes. We had better use them in our farms, in our farmland, so that we'll sell the crops to the European if they really want to buy anything from us. But we cannot be selling them our captives. Now, he will be, in 1818, the merchant Francisco de Souza, the biggest slave merchant of all time in our history, and Gomez Boaventura, a friend of the Souza, and he was not slave buyers, but he was businessman with in the land, and he is a Portuguese, plus De Rivera. Those three people will organize a putsch against Adandozan.
That's right.
In 1818, and place King Gezo there. And Gezo will rule from 1818 to 1858.
Was that not Gezo's brother?
Adandozan.
The king he deposed was his brother, wasn't it?
Adandozan.
Yeah.
And
Was that
his name, when he was born, his name was Akapo. And
okay?
when he became king, his name is Adandozan. And Adandozan, I'm trying to, when we say Adandozan, is Adan is anger,
Hmm.
okay? Anger and Dozan, which means mate, it's mat. So he comes with anger against all that his people were doing. But he was so strict that people did not appreciate him. If you make any mistake, your head is removed. And that man will put Francisco de Souza in jail. He will, when his people did not understand his plan, because he would tell them that they have to stop selling the captives, the people of Dahomey, all of them were not seeing it good, because they had to pay taxes to Oyo, they had to do this, they had to do that. So he said, no, we had better use the captives in our farmland, and when we have the crops, we sell it to the Europeans. Then we'll make more profit. Now, to show them how painful it is to sell the slave, he will take his, Gezo's mother and sell it to the slave buyers. Gezo is a prince. You understand? And he said, if it is good to sell captives, then it should not be a problem to sell our own people, because the Dahomey people were not selling the Fon people. They were selling the captives. So Adandoza would say, okay, if we can sell the captives to the Europeans, then let us sell our own people to the Europeans and see how painful it is. People did not appreciate all those he was doing. Then the three men I mentioned, Francisco de Souza, Boaventura Gomez, and de Rivera, will organize a putsch and remove Adandoza and place Gezo there. So when people say that Gezo did not want to stop the slave trade, it becomes bizarre, it's suspicious. Because if it is the European who placed Gezo there, you see, and Gezo is under the rule, they are indirectly commanding Gezo. Though Gezo will realize later that, oh, this thing has to stop and this, but they are the one who were forcing Gezo to sell slaves. If Great Britain said, okay, we have to stop because it was no longer in his favor, Great Britain realized that, okay, America, other countries are doing better, then they wanted to stop, but the other countries were ready to continue. And they are the one who placed Gezo on the throne.
That's correct, yep.
So if Gezo did anything, keep selling slaves, it's not that European wanted the slavery to stop and the African king refused. No, he was under pressure because he didn't accede to the power to the throne normally. He was placed by the Europeans. That's very important to explain.
Definitely. Yeah, and as I said, it was at that exact point, because he came to the throne in 1818. And by 5 years later, by 1823, he decided that he didn't want to, he no longer wanted to pay taxes to Oyo. And that's where they set the whole film, The Woman King, in 1823. It was a very small window at which they actually set that film.
Yeah, I see. And one thing I want to share, which is spiritual. When Gezo became king, you know, in Africa, you have to do consultation. And Gezo wanted to wage war against Oyo. And then Gezo will consult. How did I go and win this? How do I go to wage this war and win? You know what was revealed? It was revealed to him that before he succeed in this war and rule this country successfully, there is one woman that he has to acknowledge. The woman had a male energy and had did what men didn't do in this land. So he had to find out that woman and do, because the woman is truly that she's seen as like a woman here, but she had a male energy. So there's nothing the men of this kingdom didn't do, uh, did, and she didn't do. So he had to find out that woman. So Geza will say, okay, if they're talking about a woman who acted like a man, then it was my aunt. It is like that. They will go to the altar, to the ascent, which means the symbol. You know, when people die in Africa, in Fon tribe, we always have what we call ascent. That represents the dead, and we feed them there. When we want to do prayers, we summon. Everything we do, it is the altar of the dead, of our ancestors. So Gezo will go to Tasi Hangbe altar, Tasi Hangbe's ascent, and they will do ritual ceremonies before he will wage the war against the Yoruba, the Nango. And that's how he won.
That's also, that's to do with Verdun, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because that's it's similar to the war in Haiti. You know, when Haiti went to war against the Europeans in 1791, they had a big ritual which several women and men actually took part, and that was the beginning of the war against the Europeans. And
Absolutely.
again, it is say that that's where it is Dahomey that
Absolutely.
particular ritual came from.
For example, when you say IT in Dahomey here in Benin, we say Dahomey second. That's the name of IT in Benin, Dahomey second. Because when they're speaking, when you see the lifestyle, everything is just us. The spiritual, spirituality, everything they're doing, yeah, it's true that they have one part of it, but it's the same thing. And they use more. You know, we have different division when spirituality is so vast. They developed more weapons than the voodoo itself because they were in a situation of war.
That's correct. So what was the name of this woman that
Tassi Hangbe?
Sorry?
Tassi Hangbe, the woman king.
Okay, so to some extent, this film could have been based on that woman.
I don't understand.
The film, The Woman King, could have been based on that particular woman.
Yeah, because she is the one who created the movement.
Okay.
And yeah, her name is Tassi Hangbe. Now the troop will be named Agojie, because when she got the news, she said, "Hey, Agojie." So you have to get out of my way, otherwise you will have trouble with me. So it is the woman that is everything.
Yeah, they also call them Mino or Mino.
Yeah, Mino.
Yeah, because I was a little bit confused as to why it was Agojie, then it was a Mino, then it was something else. I think it was there was another Goji or something.
Yeah.
And they all one meant wives of the king. Yeah.
When what?
one of the terminology, I think Minnow means wife of the king.
Yeah,
Or
no, it's true that we copied today. You will see Vodun priests, they have Queen Mother, stuff like that. That's not African reality.
okay.
That's European copies.
Mhm.
The truth is, we have women who are the chief or the queen. For
Yep.
example, in Vodou spirituality, there are temples only a woman can be the chief,
Yep.
and all men will work under the woman. In my Shango temple, my family, the Fon tribe, in this Wida, we call the temple Masewe. Nobody is superior to the woman.
Mhm.
It's always a woman there.
Mhm.
Now, when a woman is the queen or is the chief, we call her our mother.
Mhm.
Like just a father, a man, when a man is the chief of many collectivities, we call him Mito, our father. So Mino means our mother.
Okay.
Mito means our father. And this is a little bit different from the king of kings. I mean, the king of the whole kingdom. Because in Wida, you have many Mito and you have many Mino.
Yep.
All the Amazon who were spies, merchants sent different corners, they were ruling a given number of collectivities, a
Mhm.
given number of people. So they are the chief of all those people they are commanding. So
Yep.
all the people, even the chief of families, they have to call those women Mino.
Yep.
Like
I
in
think.
Wida, you have
Yep.
Mino Agbesikpe, which is my side, but we have many families under her rule.
Mhm.
You have Mino Nyonmondu, so there are several. That's the word Mino, how it is from.
Yep.
As a
And
queen,
yep.
she's our Mino, she's our mother.
Okay. Okay. And I think I was getting mixed up with another word, ahosi, which means king's wife.
Ahosi.
Those are the bodyguards. Are those the bodyguards?
Ahosi means the wife of a king.
Right. And are those the bodyguards of the king?
Yeah, the bodyguards, yeah, we can say it like that, but we have to make a little bit difference. It's not that all the women surrounding the king are the king's wife.
Yep.
They're 40 something. But all the Amazon, they were taken virgin, trained like men to be the bodyguards.
Mhm.
Who are the
Yep.
husband?
Yep.
You see? So
Yes.
they are the wives of the king, but
Yep.
you don't know about their intimate, how do you say,
Yeah.
their sexual life.
They're not intimate. Yeah. It's more of like a spiritual kind of way
Yeah.
rather than a physical.
So it's a lot of things behind. And even
Yep.
if they have any personal life, it is not put in public. They have privacy. It's very specific because a little mistake, you are dead. There's
Okay.
no
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And the women dress, it is important to talk about spirituality, about the woman king. They always have some rings, some bracelets, the way they dress, you know, you cannot shoot a woman warrior and the bullet will enter her body. It could not. And the French army, if they write this history the right way, they can tell the world what happened to them when they try to to face the women warrior for the first time.
Mhm.
Because they were shooting but they could not kill anybody. And the woman will just be removing the head. But when they go back, they will make friends with people from the palace because the king Beanze was raised by Adanoza that the Europeans removed by putsch. And Adanoza trained his grandson, Behanzi, and he will be exactly like him. He will have the same philosophy. He was against everything that is white. Anything that is European, he was against.
Mm.
Now, he will use the woman. The woman warriors, they were men. Spiritually strong, you cannot control them. They do what they want.
Mm.
So, when the French army tried, they regret, but they will go back and now be friends with other Africans. Because Benzin was too strict, just like his grandpa, not his direct grandpa, but his, because Adanola was an uncle to his father,
Yeah,
you understand?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, he received the same philosophy, everything. But he was like strict, a little mistake, they kill you. And people were afraid. And even the neighborhood tribes, I mean kingdom, they were under Dahomey, and they did not appreciate the rule of Behanzi. So all this will be easy for Europeans to find people to negotiate with. And they will tell the secret. How come the woman, we shoot them, they don't die? It is African that will reveal the secret. And also, when we're talking about the French army, the French people didn't come with white people to wage war against Africans. There were Senegalese, there were Gabonese,
Yep.
and there were people from Women, I mean Port Novo, and with people were traitors from the Dahomey Kingdom itself. That's how they will defeat.
Also, another way that they actually defeated a lot of Africans, they took their women and they impregnated the women, and the children from those women were then trained to go back into Africa and to lead armies or to lead slave trade, trading slave traders to be able to capture those. And sometimes they went back into those kingdoms as if they were just part of that kingdom. And they then went back and told the Europeans how to defeat them. And that happened quite a lot. That happened particularly with Queen Nzinga, in Angola. They actually brought back quite a lot of what you would call now in Britain mixed heritage children. And in the film, there was one particular guy who was that, in The Woman King. And if you look carefully, he's trying to say that he is part of them, but they're a little bit skeptical about him because they know what's happened in the past. You see what I'm saying? Because they will infiltrate and later on go back because they're very close to the white. And the point is, they've got a white father. You see, so it's another way another thing they use to actually get this divide and rule. Yeah,
exactly. They worked a lot on us, and they consider the weaknesses and then just hit where it will pay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what really happened. And today, I would like anyway our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to understand things. It's painful.
It is.
We have to acknowledge that. But it is very important to forget certain things. Not to forget really, but to cultivate the forgiveness, because there are things you can no longer correct. You can no longer. The wound is so deep. But for Africa to recover today, it's no longer a question of who sold who. Africans sold Africans. No. We cannot develop Africa without a strong bridge between African in the diaspora and African living in Africa.
Definitely. Yeah.
I guide many people when I'm offering tours, and we come to Place Chacha, the place where the slave market used to be. And you have the house of the Souza family. On the other side, you have the house of Danxome family. They were French. And Danxome house was in charge of marking the slave with hot iron. Like when your name is Paul as a buyer and you bought 10 slaves, the initial of your name is forged in an iron that they put in the fire. When it gets hot, well, they will mark all the slaves you bought. We'll see those family, people can start crying. It's painful. And they will tell you, that's what I experience every day. They'll say, but how come you allow those people to live here again? Are they still in the house? And I say, yes. And in Benin today, the Souza family, 15 years ago, there were already 5,000 members of that family. So almost like the biggest family or one of the biggest. That's something. Are they living in the house? I say, yes. They say, no, they should not live here. Now, what I want to tell everybody today is those family, those people living there, it's not their fault. Their grandparents, when they came, they didn't come with their wives. The wives were the slaves. I mean, they married our women, black women, the slaves, that they're pregnant. The kids you have, so they are not directly slave buyers or slave sellers. They are both descendants of slaves and slave sellers. I don't know if you get my point.
Oh, yeah.
It is not their fault. Their parents did nonsense. The wound, the pain is so much, but we have to understand they also somehow are victim of what they're going through.
Yeah. Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, my great-grandfather was Portuguese.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? And my 3 times great-grandfather was a slave.
You see?
He was brought to Jamaica on a slave ship. Yeah. So I can look at that and think, well, yeah, my great-grandfather's family could have been, going back quite a way back, because my great-grandfather was born after slavery. Yeah. But the point is, his family could have been involved in the slave trade. But the point is, I look at it from this point of view. I respect my great-grandfather, and I respect my great-grandmother. At the same time, I have to be aware that as somebody who's a descendant of enslaved people and Europeans, I have to be aware of my position when I'm talking about enslavement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But the other thing is, it's important to still recognize
Absolutely
the role that those people played in slavery, and it's important to recognize the roles some Africans played in enslaving, not necessarily enslaving other Africans, but enslaving people of their own culture. Yeah, because the point is that before the 1400s, people didn't see people as black or white. The whole concept was created by the Europeans. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So way back in the days, if somebody came to Mali from, say, Kano or somewhere, one of the other states, there were
Ghana,
only
yeah.
three, there were only three things they looked at. What's your culture? What's your origin? And what's your religion? They didn't look at your color. So
Absolutely.
therefore, that's the way I see it in terms of some kings who sold, who got frustrated enough or got desperate enough to sell their own people, their own actual people, the same culture, same religion, same origin, as opposed to warring against somebody else and selling them to the Europeans. I think
Uh,
there is a difference. There is a big difference in terms of that. And as I said, so on many occasions it depended upon the king and also the position in which that particular king was. And again, it's a difficult one, but it's not something we can forget. It's something as you've said, something very important. It's something we need to learn from. Yeah. And we
Absolutely.
also need to learn how to live together today. You know, whether we
Absolutely.
like it or not, we still have to learn how to live together today. And togetherness and being part of the, whether you're white, black, or whatever, I think that's important. And getting rid of this whole concept of black versus white and all that, that was used to divide people way back in the early days of slavery. Even the terminology white was started by white people. The terminology black was started by white people. So what I'm saying, there is that we've got to think about. When you're in a position of dominance, you can control the story. And that's what Shayla said before. We need to tell our story. And
Absolutely.
they've been telling their story for a long time. And we're now finding out about ours. When I went to school, I knew nothing about black people. I could not look up to anyone who was black apart from Muhammad Ali. And I'd never even seen a picture of him. My father used to listen to him fight on the radio. Yeah. But we didn't have those role models. In school, we didn't have that. In school, we were told we wouldn't amount to anything. This is the environment I grew up in Britain. Yeah. And now we are becoming aware. I've now been able to put together a list of hundreds of people now who are British black people or people of African descent who have lived in Britain since the 1500s and even before, going back to Roman times, even before that, 9,000 years ago, but we didn't have that information before. We now have that information today, and it's because there are people like yourself, me, and others who are willing to research and ask the questions. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I'm getting so much information from people who are now researching the backgrounds. They're researching the history of Africa because, as I said, even I think Shayla, one of the things I found amazing when Shayla asked me to come onto a session, was it last year? You asked me to come onto a session, and I was talking to people from Kenya, from Tanzania, and the funny thing about it, they were saying they didn't know their history themselves. And I thought, wow, if they don't know their history and they're Africans, how much more, what do we really know? So it was great to at least for that acknowledgement to happen. So it means we can move forward together. Yeah. And that's the
Absolutely.
important thing. We can move forward together and realize that, we, as you said before, the diaspora and Africa need to work together. to be able to move together. So that's what I've got to say.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this conversation, first of all, I want to thank everyone for attending. I think this was a great broadcast. Definitely share it with your friends and family after they see the Woman King so they know what's the truth and how we're unmasking the truth with brother Gerard today and brother Sweeney as well. I do want to give the audience, a live audience, an opportunity to ask questions, and we do have one question, and it came from Mr. Graves, and this is for you, Gerard. Did the okay? Did I'm going to guess. He said they, so I'm going to guess it was the warriors have their own priests. Okay, yeah, he was talking about the warriors. Did they have their own priests, the woman warriors, that would do divination for them?
No, no.
No. Okay.
They're not, just like I told you, there were kids that the king will select from different families at very young age, and they are under the king. They serve under the king. They are trained like men. Their life, the weapons, spiritual weapon, uh, arm, anything, it is the king that offer, that put those things at their disposal. So they do not have a special king priestess. No, it was not like that. But just like warriors in Africa, you always have some protections uh, against gun bullet, knife. Like when people want to wound you, it will not cut you. They always have those things. You see, yeah. But it's not that they do not have a specific divinity that they go to acknowledge to pray there before going to war. No, no.
Thank you. And we're wrapping things up. If you guys have questions, please filter them in the chat while I'll try to answer them live. But as we wrap up, Gerard, I know you mentioned about touring, folks. Do you have, if you don't mind, could you tell people how to contact you for tours or to learn more about voodoo? We do try to have voodoo classes if you guys are interested. Um, I think on the website now we have a pop-up where if you want to be a part of these special events, we also are going to invite Mr. Sweeney back as well with one of our African histories programs. So if you guys want to keep and continue to be involved with us, and so we have great programming such as this, which is again our words, our history versus it being on Wikipedia or something like that. We definitely want to invite you to the table to learn more about yourself, to learn more about your ancestors and history. So on the website, you can always go there and drop your email, and then you'll be added to our contact list. But Brother Gerard, do you mind giving everyone your contact so they can learn and travel?
Yeah.
And he owns so he's very, now I won't call you shy, you're humble. So just so you guys know, he has a hostel, he has a restaurant, he's a voodoo priest. Did I get that right? You're a priest, aren't you?
I'm not a priest, but I'm always in temples. Yeah.
So please share with the folks live.
In fact, they can learn more about voodoo spirituality when they contact me or they go to YouTube. My channel is Path to the Roots. I can put it in the chat.
Yes, please. And again, Brother Gerard also teaches. We're trying to pivot away from French a little bit, but I know people need to know that because it's a lot of francophone West African countries. But we really want to pivot and really start spreading the Fon language. So that's what we were talking about. That's a part of Benin culture and background. It's Fon, Fon or Fongbe language. And so we really want to teach that. So if you guys know anyone or any folks who's interested in learning that language, along with some spirituality as well, we plan to offer that in 2023. You can always send us an email, go to our website, which is the ticker right there, to learn more about what we do. And Gerard, I think you put it in private chat, but I'll put it in
Eh,
the group chat. No worries. We do have a one question I want to filter over to Gerard. Are there
mhm.
any women kings alive today in Africa from sister parts?
Uh, in fact, what I would tell you, be it king, be it queens, women, king, all those things, they are just symbols or honorific titles today. Because since the defeat of Dahomey Kingdom in 1894, it's true that the French will put Agoliago there because it's the price to sell Beyan's plants. But ever since, we have the thrones and ceremonies, we do things, but nobody, truly speaking, in Benin is commanding as a king. We are in the European system that is installed. We have a president, the mayor, stuff like that. But the kings or priests, they have spiritually. You see, like they have weapons, protections, things that they can give to politicians or business person, but they are no longer, because when you are a king, you have an army. You can command people do certain things. We do not have real kingdom that can command politicians or people today. No, we just have honorific, titles. But the government, the current government is working considerably on those things and trying to bring back things to normal.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
even
great.
the fact that people try to remove the woman from the list, the genealogy, and
Mhm.
they removed Adandoza from the genealogy because he was against the slave trade and was very rude. They're working now to bring
It's
back all those people and setting up their palace, and they're trying to reconstitute everything. And I'm sure that very soon this will happen.
yeah,
Even if they do not finish, we will finish it.
Mhm. A lot of what I'm really excited about the where things are going in several African countries. We're reinstating who we are. We're reinstating the our faith in ourselves again. The faith in ourselves are I don't like to use the word pride 'cause it's not really pride. It's the reinstatement of ourselves. It's coming. It's a win that's here and it's been here for a couple of years now that we're not just, I find that Africans, continental Africans, are not just inviting us home, but they're sharing their meals with us. It's different to be invited home and say, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's a little bit different. It's come share a meal with me, right? Come meet my family. And so it's kind of that bridging that has been happening for the past couple of years. That's really a beautiful moment. Mr. Sweeney, he's our African historian. Of course, I'm going to invite you back to another class with Resplendence, but I also want you to talk about any upcoming projects that you may have. I'm going to also drop your website in the chat as well, so people can learn more about what you do. But if you have any upcoming events, or tell everybody anything you want to tell them about you.
Yeah, the thing at the moment, the one project that I'm involved with is with my own daughter, and we're actually on we're on Instagram on a Monday evening at 8 p.m. GMT time, and we just discussed the Woman King on Monday, just gone, because the week before, my daughter works with young people, and between her and several others, they took around 40 young people to see the Woman King in Manchester over here. And so we were discussing it, and on our Instagram live, which is Speak Your Truth Youth, we have currently done 75 videos, and they're live videos, and they're all on Instagram. And that's my daughter who's really just gone for it and done it. So we're doing that, and we're hoping to share that at some point. We've done everything under the sun. We also have um, people from the United States coming on board, lecturers from the history lecturers. We've had doctors of clinical psychology on. We've had, people who work with young people, musicians. We've had all kinds of people come on, and they are part of what we do now. So it's really something else that we're trying to develop. That we're aiming for a hundred lives. Yeah. The other thing I'm doing, I'm in the middle of what we in Britain call Black History Month, because our Black History Month is in October, and it was developed as a result of a Ghanaian gentleman who then made it October because the autumn equinox in Ghana was in October, rather than in America where it's about the birthdays of Martin Luther King and Lincoln. He's linked it to the autumn equinox in Africa, and so that's why it's in October. So I've been doing a whole lot of talks and, at universities, with health services, you name it. So there's a lot going on. My other thing that I'm involved with is in Britain, we have a thing called the Windrush Generation. And these are people who came over from 1948, mainly from the Caribbean, to actually rebuild the country after the war. And as a result of that, we ended up with over 500,000 people, and they stayed. And so next year is the 75th anniversary of the Windrush Generation coming to Britain. So I'm involved in organizing the Manchester, not helping to coordinate the Manchester element, and it's been done on a national basis. So there is a lot going on at the present moment. But in terms of individual specific projects, I've got projects I'm looking at for next year about training young people in Black history, for instance, so that they can carry, the baton can be passed on to them. And that to me is so important, that we pass the baton on to others rather than, it's a little bit like the great historians like Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben, etc. They passed the baton on to people like Ranelko Rashidi, who's now passed it on to others. And that is what it should be about.
Awesome. Awesome. And for you guys who are tuning in, for those who will tune in later, I just want to give a shout out to Resplendence. So we're taking a break from classes. We will resume in January of 2023. We have only 2 more languages that we're adding on. So we take a long time to actually hire people because it's a part of the process. And plus with the team that we have, we just really want to focus now. We have amazing instructors in place like Gerard and like many others that we just want to really structure it. We have the seeds. We just want to grow it, right? We also, this is a big announcement. I mean, Gerard, you may not even know. No, you know. In 2023, we'll be focusing on our language app that's coming out too. That is probably not going to be revealed until 2025. It's going to be a long process. We'll have a prototype, and then students can come in and, try it out, survey it, and make sure it's something that you guys can stand behind. So we're working on that too, behind the counter, right? This fall, or this winter rather, so from now until the end of the year, we're really focusing on broadcast. So on our Instagrams, broadcasts like this, we do always have the holiday broadcast. We do plan to do an internal broadcast with just the tribe members, and then one also with our students and patrons. So just definitely stay tuned for that. We are planning potentially, I don't want to spill the beans, but there is a person who has a documentary out, and they may come in and join us live and watch their own documentary about the experience of returning home. That's as much as I can say about that part. So that should be coming up very soon. Um, what else I got going? One last thing is in terms of our broadcast, make sure you like, subscribe, chat, comment, tell all your friends about what we're doing. It's super important. We do plan to have Resplendence RLA Limited in Zanzibar open, hopefully, inshallah, before January 2023. We had some hiccups in the road. It's okay. We're going to pivot because we always do our best. You can always donate to what we're doing, which will help others to get into seats. Some people who are actually on this have been, recipients as well. So we always try to give back to the community, give back to the tribe members, instructors as well. We definitely want to give them like a great holiday pay as well. I like to give little gifts. So if you want to donate, just know that it's going to the right direction. It's not going in my pocket. Trust me, it's not going in my pocket. And also, I want to invite you guys also to come to Zanzibar, right? I'll be there very shortly. I already have a home that also has a outside home. So for some folks who are watching that knows me very well, I've opened up my house to you too. So you're more than welcome to just get your plane ticket and come there and stay with us for as long as you want or as little as you want. The goal with Resplendence, and I'm sure everyone that's watching, is really about bridging. We keep talking about bridging and unmasking and making sure we know the truth of our ancestors and know the truth of our futures that we're trying to create here, that we're trying to create, not others. So with that, I want to thank everyone for their time. It was a long chat. I'm probably going to come back and review it and look at these jewels that Mr. Sweeney and Brother Gerard dropped. So again, thank you both for speaking today, speaking your truth, your ancestors' truth, and telling the facts about the woman king and slavery, of course. So thank you so much. Thank you for all the viewers.
It's a great pleasure for me.
Oh, it's always a great pleasure for me too. I love speaking with both y'all actually. So anyway, until next time, again, like, share, subscribe. Definitely follow Mr. Sweeney, follow Gerard, follow RLA, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.